Ladies and gentlemen, lots of interesting news floating about. We need to talk about it, but none more important than this, in my opinion. It's in regards to Callum Hudson-Odoi. We've got to get serious about this particular brother. We don't talk about him enough, and I think now we need to set a standard. We need to set a standard. All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into the news, please subscribe to the new channel, my new channel, where I'm going to talk about all other clubs across the world, not just in the Premier League, anything and everything that is, topical out there, hot topic out there. We'll cover that. Check out my community page on my channel, and the link to the new channel will be there. Please subscribe. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers ASAP, and a video will drop very soon, potentially early tomorrow morning UK time, roughly around perhaps maybe 9 a.m., something like that, maybe even 8:30 a.m. We'll see. And I want to talk about Spurs and Richarlison, so we'll cover that on the first video, and I'll see if I do a intro video for that particular channel to outline exactly what you can expect from that channel and how often you can expect uploads. Best believe there'll be quite a lot of uploads because there's always many other news that's floating around. Now, let's get on with the Chelsea news, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we do in the other side of the coin. It's going to be predominantly Chelsea here. First up, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Look, we need to get serious about this particular player. We don't talk enough. When we talk about players that need to leave Chelsea Football Club, I think Callum Hudson-Odoi's name should be there. One of the first ones. I mean, it's sad to say, but he's a done player. He's finished. It's over. Like, I'm sorry to say that injury that took place, maybe 4 seasons ago now almost, it's ruined him. It's absolutely ruined him. In fact, it was 4 seasons ago. Since then, he's not really come back, and he's been a big part player under Thomas Tuchel. It's moments where he got off opportunities, but he just didn't showcase exactly what he could bring. 1v1, man, something that he was so known for as a youngster before the injury. The 1v1 situation absolutely disappeared for him. Every now and then he would produce a really nice assist. I think he started not having that 1v1 specialty, I suppose. He started to create that vision, that pass, but it wasn't frequent enough. And now look, at Bayer Leverkusen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether he's injured. I'm highly doubt he's injured. He's not even in the squad anymore. Like, Leverkusen won tonight in the Europa Cup match. And Xavi Alonso over there, initially I think he did favor Callum Hudson-Odoi, but as time went on, he's quickly disregarded him. And as I said, like few times when I've done a watch along or even watched Bayer Leverkusen earlier this season, because I was excited that Callum Hudson-Odoi going to Bundesliga. Surely everyone becomes a superstar in the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean? It's the place where attackers go to become monsters. This is why I was so focused on following Bayer Leverkusen in the early stages. And honestly, every time I watched Bayer Leverkusen, I was more impressed by Moussa Diaby over there and a few of the other players. I was never, ever, excited about Callum Hudson-Odoi. This is the latest in regards to Callum Hudson-Odoi. It has been confirmed that Callum Hudson-Odoi is going back to England in the summer. It's been confirmed, apparently. There is no more hype left, and his performances are sobering and harmless. Wow. For a winger, performances are harmless. Bayern Munich, I mean, that is a massive slap in the face. Bayern Munich should not shed any tears over the failed deal a few years ago. Hudson-Odoi has not yet turned out to be the hoped-for enforcement at Bayer Leverkusen. He has only 1 goal and 1 assist in 20 competitive games since joining the team last summer. This is from Sky Sports DE. I think that's from Germany, I believe. Let me just have a quick look. Pretty sure that's... why doesn't that show up in the screen? Sky Sports DE. Yeah, I think that's a German-based Sky Sports outlet out there. Ladies and gentlemen, come this summer, honestly, the caliber of players that we already have right now in attacking areas, likes of Sterling, João Felix, Mudryk, a whole heap of other players that need to probably go as well. But we're bringing in Nkunku. We're apparently still linked with Leao. It's quite mad. And the future as well, Omari Hutchinson and so on and so forth. There's no space for Callum Hudson-Odoi. Unfortunately, there's no space for Callum Hudson-Odoi. And he should be one of the first ones out of the club. Come summer, let's not waste our time anymore. Let's not dilly-dally around. Let's find him a new home. I don't think he wants to be, tried and tested again at Chelsea Football Club. We've seen, and this is why we've sent him out on a loan, and it's been a flop of a loan. Now, I think it's time for him to humble himself as well, and for us to realize that potentially this guy's future is not at Chelsea Football Club, and he's not going to be the player that we once thought maybe he could have been prior to the injury. Look, I'd even say Callum Hudson-Odoi, just look for a championship club at this moment. Look for a championship club, move and see what level of confidence that you can build up. Even championship ain't going to be easy, I'm telling you right now. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on Callum Hudson-Odoi. Where do you sit in regards to that? Next up, Mount news. Mount news are going to be coming thick and fast every single week because this player now, injuries and suspension has hampered, him not being in the squad the past couple of games. Mind you, we've won as well. So, it's not like we've really missed him. But it's going to be popping up every single time now because his contract at the end of this season will only have one more year left. So, it is time to start thinking about what we want to do with Mason Mount. And I believe it's 1 more year, or is it 2 more years? Could be 2 more years. I think it is at the end of this season, might be just 1 more year. So we need to think about something. I think it is 1 more year. That's why Liverpool's interested. We have this news is going to float around every single week. And the fact that, in recent times, Mason Mount has lost his starting lineup position as well. So as much as we may hate seeing this particular news over and over again, but it's something we can't shy away from. It's going to happen, and it's going to keep coming until something is resolved. Whether he signs a contract extension, whether we sell him, we'll see. But this is the news, ladies and gentlemen. Mount wants the Chelsea hierarchy to show they value him. They offered Reece James a contract worth up to 250k per week. Chelsea have not given up hope of landing Jude Bellingham. I don't know why all of a sudden. This is why some people, people like myself or Eunice or Matisse, when we criticize, normally, logically, sometimes we brunt the heat. It's because of look at this comment from Tommy Wa. Done my part. He sent a DM directly to Mason Mount saying, see what he said. Why don't you take the 180k you piece? See, this is the thing. This is why we as content makers sometimes get the heat because of crazy people like that just doing nonsense stuff. Look, I'm not sure why we are trying to chase. Okay, fine. I get why we're trying to chase Bellingham, but at 100 million for Bellingham, I think that's a bit outrageous. If that is the price tag for Jude Bellingham, 250k for Mason Mount a week, and he's still finding it difficult to sign the contract extension. I didn't think we were going to give him anything, anything more than 200. But if it is true that we are about 250k, that's mad. But apparently, it may not be that particular amount. Mason Mount could be available for around 50 million, and it is increasingly likely he leaves Chelsea. Chelsea's latest offer was understood to be worth around 180k per week. This is coming from Jacob Steinberg. That probably is more realistic. I don't think that 250k one was realistic at all. Who's that coming? That was from Jacob Steinberg. How is Jacob Steinberg? Mount wants hierarchy to show the value. They offered Reece James a contract worth up to 250. Oh, okay. So he's talking about they offered Reece James a contract up to 250k. And he's probably insinuating, Jacob Steinberg's probably insinuating that's probably what Mason Mount wants. However, he's been offered 180k a week. Look, honestly speaking, 180k a week, that's probably the right price for Mason Mount. That's probably the right wages. In fact, no, that's. I was going to say maybe that's a bit more. He's on 75k, double that. That's 150. Yeah, look, that's probably about the right price, man. He's not going to be a starter. He's potentially going to be a rotational player from here on in. If you don't want that, you're going to have to move on. You're going to have to move on. And a lot of people are getting upset that 50 million, if he goes to Liverpool, it's a rival. He should have some English tax. I think we need to understand there'll be only 1 year left in his contract. And 1 year left, 50 million, I think that's decent amount of price. That's the kind of price that I thought. It shouldn't be any less than 50 million. It should be about smack bang 50 million. Some people are saying 60 minimum. But honestly speaking, with 1 year to go, I think that's a bit far-fetched. All right, next up, Telegraph Sport can reveal Chelsea inquired for Bruno Guimaraes in January and are likely to be back in the summer. However, the chances of him leaving this year are virtually nil. Look, forget about getting Bruno Guimaraes. As much as I would love to get him, it ain't going to happen. Newcastle ain't going to let go of Bruno Guimaraes. Simple as that. I understand the link. However, I do understand the link. If we get rid of players like Mason Mount, players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, players like Conor Gallagher, we don't know what the future of Kovacic might be. N'Golo Kante, yes, he's coming back, which is great news. We've got a little story on N'Golo Kante, which we'll share, courtesy of PYS. But N'Golo Kante has injury history as well, so I understand the thought process around getting a lot more midfielders. But Bruno Guimaraes, Newcastle's looking to get into the top echelons of world football. How are they going to let go of Bruno Guimaraes? And look at the way Bruno Guimaraes speaks about Newcastle in social media. The guy loves Newcastle. The guy wants to drive Newcastle to Champions League one day. I really don't think this is possible. As much as I love this player, I don't think this is possible. The two principal interested parties in Alexis McAllister are Chelsea and Arsenal. He's expected to leave Brighton in the summer. Look, I would be very, very shocked if McAllister stays on at Brighton at the end of this season. He will be one of the Brighton players that's probably going to leave, along with Caicedo. I know Caicedo signed a contract extension, but that's probably because of a better wage structure. But the price is still going to be around 70, 80 million for Caicedo. McAllister, you probably could potentially get him about 50 million, 55 million, something like that. I don't mind McAllister at Chelsea Football Club, but in all honesty, I don't need Enzo and McAllister. I know for Argentina it's worked out, but for Argentina, they did have one, Rodrigo de Paul that was helping out in midfield. We need a particular midfielder that is of the mold of, I suppose, Declan Rice. Do you know what I mean? Dennis Zakaria is a name that's getting thrown around. We'll see what happens with Dennis Zakaria till the end of the season. There is names like Romeo Lavia, who really, really excites me. Quadio Kone as well. I've not seen too much of him, but a lot of people have high praise about him. We need a Casemiro type of a midfielder, man, which will allow for Enzo Fernandez to be a little bit more box-to-box as opposed to being the deepest lying midfielder. Even though I think Enzo Fernandez is quite capable of playing as a deep lying midfielder, I do want him to at times move forward into a number 8 position, from 6 to an 8, and at times transition to a 10 if he can. Not saying just play as a 10 or play as an 8. You can start off in a double pivot as a 6, but have the license to move into an 8 area and a 10 area. But the only way you're going to get that is if you have a particular midfielder alongside yourself. For Enzo Fernandez, in the likes of Casemiro. So look, McAllister for me is somewhat similar to Enzo Fernandez. So for me, as much as I'd like this player, and I'm happy to have him because we're going to lose a lot of midfielders, so happy to have him as another player on the side for us, but we do need to find the right profile. Do you know what I mean? This is why I don't understand, Jude Bellingham and whatnot. Great player, no problems. As I said, we do need more midfielders, but time to get that sitting defensive midfielder who can be very good on the ball as well, but can cover a lot of ground laterally, which is quite important for us. Chelsea want to negotiate for the permanent signing of João Felix when the time comes. Club are very happy with Felix and believe he can catapult the club back to the top level, which is fantastic. This is from Record Portugal. And you know what? I think we need to start believing in this. Look at this. This is João Felix's profile. Look at what he's liked recently. This is legit. He liked a tweet from Fabrizio Romano who said, Portuguese Champions League night, João Felix, extremely good for Chelsea. That's why Chelsea plan to negotiate his permanent stay in the summer. Gonçalo Ramos, killer instinct, and 2 more goals to add now to his amazing season with Benfica. And Joao Felix has liked that. I mean, take it how you want to take it. But for me, you can avoid things like that. You can avoid liking these things. But when he's going around liking the fact that Joao Felix extremely good for Chelsea, that's why Chelsea plan to negotiate his permanent stay in the summer, and then you like it, of course, everyone's going to start thinking that you want to stay at Chelsea permanently. So, yeah, once again, think how you want to think. But I think he wants to stay at Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea intend to keep spending, and they have looked at Victor Osimhen as Graham Potter wants a striker to add to Nkunku. We've talked about this in the recent stream. There's talks about Tammy Abraham. Perhaps we're going to, trigger his release, the buyback clause. Look, I do think we are going to get a striker. We can't continue on with these number 10s and false 9s. We do need a striker that's going to bang in some goals, at least 20 plus goals, if we want to be seriously be in contention for winning some silverware. I just don't think it's Tammy Abraham. I would love to get Victor Osimhen, but Napoli is very difficult to deal with. And there's a lot of clubs that's going to be after Victor Osimhen. And don't forget, come this summer, all of that long-term contract stuff that we were handing out under the new ownership that we have, 7-year, 8-year contract, that's going to be gone. UEFA's put a stop on that. It's going to be minimum 5 years. So the amortization side of things is not going to be easy. And to be, if he's worth a lot of money, it will definitely not be easy to get that job done. And also wages. We're not going to be paying any exorbitant amount of wages. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm hopeful if it happens. Wow, kudos to the owners and the board, but I'm not holding my breath for it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's that interesting news in regards to Kante. Quite shocking, to be honest. Let's see what you guys have to say about this. Kudos to PYS, who sort of got the story translated from L'Equipe. It is behind a paywall, so it's not out there from everyone. All the news outlets, all the accounts that publish news are not going out there and reporting on this. But PYS has been able to do this, so go and follow him. PYS is amazing when it comes to things like this. A year before becoming world champion, Kante was a victim of an ambush. This is apparently coming from a particular friend or someone that Kante knows, and this is what they were saying. Kante is a victim of an ambush while enjoying moments in a restaurant in Haute-des-Seine. He was invited to get into a dark vehicle where a real pistol was placed on one of his knees. Your agent either leave him or we shoot him. Kante denies the scene after telling several relatives. And it goes on to say, as I said, this is from L'Equipe. Further goes on to say, Kante on the phone was warning him of this article can be summarized. Nothing has happened for all this time, and I have nothing to add. I'm quite discreet and focused on Chelsea, where I'm very happy. And finally, in the last part of the tweet, a teenage friend summarizes, you can't go from the best number 6 in the world to an anonymity without there's nothing behind it in the Blues. We like to let it slip that Kante is always smiling, that he always sends the same kindness back to Cobham. Behind the scenes, the picture is less shiny. A very simple word often comes back sad. Wow. This is the thing. Sometimes us fans, we don't know. We see this face, we see this smile, and we think everything is all rosy and whatnot. Look, the article even goes on to say, and this was, people was telling me in the article, it said that he's been quite upset in recent times as well. The fact that Rudiger left, as you know, Kante is from a Muslim background. Rudiger was Muslim. They used to both pray together and, really look after each other as brotherhoods. You know what I mean? I know, being a Muslim myself, how much it means to have a particular friend or a colleague that's Muslim as well. You can go pray together. It's a different feeling. So not to say there isn't any other Muslim players. Obviously, Ziyech is Muslim as well, but maybe Kante just connected with Rudiger a lot more. I wouldn't put it past the fact that he might have been, bit sad, bit depressed maybe over the last few seasons, and rightly so. The injuries have killed him. He's barely played any football. He's someone who loves to play. When being in an environment when it gets stripped away with people that you used to interact with on a day-to-day basis, like the likes of Rudiger, it does make sense. And then a lot of people have been also saying, he doesn't come across a particular player that wants large amount of wages. He's once apparently been quoted to say, I don't know whether this is true or not, that he would have been happy with 200k per week, but maybe due to this incident prior to the World Cup, maybe someone, and this is the thing, in France, it can get quite wild out there. You know what's going on with Paul Pogba and his brother and what's not or whatnot, and many other players that come from France. Maybe the extra bit of money that he's getting, maybe part of it is going to some of these people, these dark society out there. So quite crazy out there. Last but not least, let me know what you think about that Kante situation, ladies and gentlemen. Quite interesting. Last but not least, no pics of James in training. Look, I think we've all talked about that. Maybe Reece James might be rested for the Leicester game, and that's fine. He had a bit of a slight injury scare before the Dortmund game that he played the 90 minutes. I don't mind him just taking a bit of rest. This is the thing, man. I think we're gonna have to manage him long term if we do want to see him play more often for us. We have to manage him. Great that Malo Gusto is coming through next season. Who's now, a lot of people were worried, is he going to get enough game time? I think he will get. I think he'll probably get more game time than Reece James, to be honest. So look, there's a lot of pictures of all the other players, but no pictures of Reece James in the training ground, which makes me think he's potentially going to be rested for this particular match. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Make sure you subscribe to the new channel. It's in the community page. The link is there. I will drop the video on Richarlison, so I'm going to work on that very, very soon. Quite mad. I really want to talk about Spurs, Conte, Richarlison, Harry Kane, all that lot. And the club itself, such a banter club, honestly, which is crazy. Hope you've enjoyed this. Smash the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time. See ya.